Well, President-elect Trump is setting up a kind of trust in which he's going to have his two sons, as you know, probably apparently run his business operations. He's also going to have an ethics advisor, apparently, who he will appoint, who will also assess transactions that his sons engage in. And the bottom line is that's a good start, but it leaves a variety of problems and doesn't fit what is considered to be the best way of doing things, which would be a fully blind trust independent of his family, or more extreme, selling his assets. But certainly a fully blind trust independent of his family would have been feasible and would be a better way of doing things, and would certainly help diminish the conflict of interest appearance.
Okay, so the different elements of the I guess agreement and those things, is it a blind trust? Because it's not blind, right? I mean, he doesn't have total access, and he has very limited access, and he just gets information that is, profit and loss. Am I correct? I mean, just
yeah, it's not totally blind in that he will, I believe he may be given information regarding some of the results of how the funds or businesses are going. In that sense, it's not totally blind, but the traditional blind trust in this context has still had that aspect to it, but the people running it have not been such close relatives and political advisors to the president or to the official involved.
Okay, so as I appreciate it, I've done quite a lot of reading about this both before and after yesterday's press conference. In terms of the information flow or lack of flow, it's blind faith on our part. Is that correct? I mean, we have no control over whether or not they're actually having a conversation direct or communication some other way, or, for example, his daughter and son-in-law are going to be in his administration. They're not prohibited, am I correct, from communicating with the sons about the business?
That's correct, and in that sense, it's really not a blind trust. They could draft some language. They could add something about the daughter and son-in-law if they wanted to, but everything looks more problematic given the close relationship that exists within the family, particularly it seems with regard to political decision making. I mean, they refer to themselves as a team, I think, or at least used words like that frequently. So yeah, it's not really a fully blind trust, and it's possible that people close to the president could get information, such as his daughter, and it's possible, the president could, although if we believe the president-elect, he says he's not going to have any decision-making capability with regard to what goes on.
Okay, so as I also understand, there's going to be, say, two ethics advisors or guardians, one in the administration and one also in his company.
That's correct.
Yeah, but who chooses those people? I mean, obviously the implication is that if you choose somebody, you can fire them. That means you control them.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, one of the most troubling aspects of this, besides the failure to distance himself in terms of who's running the blind trust. He's picking the ethics advisors. We went through a scandal, and I'm not saying this is the same thing at all. I want to make that clear, but when we went through the Watergate scandal, it was thought that we needed afterwards to have an independent counsel ethics advisor, and certainly the person who might be investigated was not in charge of picking who that person would be. And so that's, I think, one of the more troubling aspects of this that doesn't make sense, and that does not remove the conflict by any means at all.
So now there is the argument that he doesn't have a conflict of interest by law. that the law from 1987, I think it was, does not apply to the vice president and to the president. And he says, hey, look, I didn't know about this, but it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah, yeah. I
Basically,
mean, he
yeah.
he 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 makes that argument, and it's technically correct that some of these federal laws do not apply. But I guess I'd respond in two ways. One, first, you want your president to give the nation the confidence that the first thing on his mind is the national interest and not his personal or financial interest or business. And this does not suffice, I think, to provide us with that confidence. And secondly, there is a clause in the Constitution called the Emoluments Clause that some very good scholars have said is not sufficiently taken care of here, which prevents essentially the officials from taking gifts from foreign governments. It's debatable as to whether it applies to the president, but I think the much better view is that, of course, it applies to the president because he would be the person you would be most concerned about being influenced at all by a foreign government. And the setup of the company is such that there's still a lot of transactions that are going to occur with foreign entities. And, so there is a constitutional provision that probably governs this, and that therefore to say there's no law that sort of restricts him would be going too far given that constitutional provision, in my view.